Have you ever felt empty after spending time with someone? Maybe a friend, a family member, or even someone you love deeply. Yet, when they leave, you feel as if something has been stolen from you, a fragment of your energy, your serenity, your very being. As if that presence, seemingly harmless or even dear, has dimmed your inner light. It's happened to me more than once, and for years, I couldn't understand why. I questioned myself, searching for answers. I thought it was my fault, my weakness, my limitation. I tried to give even more, convinced that the problem was me. But over time, I began to notice a pattern, a sort of subtle repetition. Certain people left a trail of emptiness in me, as if every encounter with them was a slow emotional hemorrhage. And that feeling, vague at first, became an increasingly clear signal, a warning bell I could no longer ignore. I remember my cousin Grace, a person I've always loved, with whom I shared laughter, secrets, and childhood memories. But at a certain point, every phone call with her became burdensome, veiled criticism, judgments disguised as advice, and I ended up feeling small, inadequate. It took me a long time to understand that I wasn't the problem, that sometimes, even if it hurts, the moment comes when you have to say enough. Today, I want to talk to you about just that. The silent signals that indicate when it's time to distance ourselves, even from those closest to us. With the help of Carl Jung, who understood the deepest labyrinths of the human psyche, we'll explore 6 clear signals. It won't be easy because distancing ourselves from those who have been part of our lives is one of the most difficult challenges. But sometimes, to protect ourselves and continue growing, we need the courage to do so. Jung left us profound insights into our inner world, and today they'll guide us to understand when a relationship, even with a sibling, a mother, or a longtime friend, is becoming toxic to your peace. We'll discuss 6 warning signs that, if you listen to them, could be your own heart telling you, protect yourself. And no, it's not selfishness, it's self-respect. But before we begin, I just want to ask you for a moment. If you love exploring topics of psychology, spirituality, and awareness, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. We talk about things that help you reflect and look within, and you don't want to miss the next content, do you? And then write to me in the comments, what was the most difficult relationship to deal with in your life? No names needed, just a hint. I'm happy to know you're here, that you're on this journey with me. Okay, let's get started. First sign, you constantly feel guilty, even when you've done nothing wrong. Has this ever happened to you? You're with someone and all it takes is the opening of your mouth to instantly make you feel guilty. Phrases like, "You never contact me," or "If you truly loved me, you'd do more," get inside you and start to wear you down. Jung spoke of projection, the mechanism by which others unleash their wounds and insecurities on us. That guilt you feel often isn't even yours. But if someone keeps you trapped in that burden, they're taking away your freedom to be yourself. And over time, that induced guilt begins to shape your identity. You begin to doubt your worth, constantly wondering if you're doing something wrong, even when you act with love and respect. It's a vicious cycle that drains you and makes you feel wrong just for existing as you are. Recognizing this is the first step to breaking the cycle. You weren't born to constantly justify yourself or live in the shadow of other people's expectations. You were born to be authentic, not guilty. I've been through this with Grace. Every time I said no, I felt selfish, until I realized I was paying a very high price for something that wasn't mine. Second sign, you can't be authentic around them anymore. Do you find yourself changing the way you speak, hiding your feelings, saying yes when everything inside you screams no. Jung said we have an authentic self, but for fear of hurting or creating conflict, we often silence it. With Grace, I found myself wearing a mask, trying to please her, avoiding arguments, but in doing so, I was erasing who I truly was. Third sign. After every interaction, you feel empty, not physically tired, but a weight inside, as if energy, light, and breath had been sucked out of you. Shadow, that hidden part that others often manage to touch in the most toxic ways. The phone calls with Grace were emotional storms, complaints, judgments, victimhood. And every time, I came away exhausted. If something similar happens to you, listen to that signal. Your energy is sacred. Fourth sign. The relationship is one way. You're always there. You listen, you give, you go out of your way. But when you need them, they're not there. Jung reminded us that healthy relationships are based on reciprocity. If, on the other hand, you're always giving and receiving nothing, you're carrying on something that's draining you. Furthermore, Jung argued that continuing to ignore these emotional imbalances feeds one's shadow. Everything that is repressed, sooner or later, comes back to claim space. Remaining in unbalanced and toxic relationships slowly erodes self-esteem and clouds one's perception of one's own value. Learning to set clear boundaries is not selfish, but an act of self-respect. I remember one time when I was heartbroken about my father. I needed to talk, so I texted Grace. She replied, "I'm in a hurry, we'll talk about this later." That later never came. Fifth sign. You feel constantly judged. You feel as if you have to justify every choice you make. Jung spoke of the process of individuation, the path to full authenticity. But if someone makes you feel like you're not being who you are, perhaps because you've changed jobs or decided to live differently, then they're preventing you from growing. Constant judgment not only hurts, it slowly erodes your self-confidence. You find yourself questioning your every step, wondering if you really deserve to pursue what you love. And so you begin to censor yourself, dimming your light so as not to offend those who prefer to see you as small. But growing up also means disappointing those who want to keep you down. Those who truly love you don't try to stop your change. They support it, even when it's scary. I remember one time when I was heartbroken about my father. I needed to talk, so I texted Grace. She replied, "I'm in a hurry, we'll talk about this later." That later never came. Fifth sign. You feel constantly judged. You feel as if you have to justify every choice you make. Jung spoke of the process of individuation, the path to full authenticity. But if someone makes you feel like you're not being who you are, perhaps because you've changed jobs or decided to live differently, then they're preventing you from growing. Constant judgment not only hurts, it slowly erodes your self-confidence. You find yourself questioning your every step, wondering if you really deserve to pursue what you love. And so you begin to censor yourself, dimming your light so as not to offend those who prefer to see you as small. You begin to live life with the brakes on, fearing that every decision you make could become a new target. Even your joys begin to seem guilty, as if you had to apologize for being happy. But repressing who you are for fear of others' judgment means denying your very essence. Growing up also means disappointing those who want to keep you still. Those who truly love you don't try to stop your change. They support it, even when it's scary. Those who constantly judge you aren't protecting you. They're protecting their static image of you because your change challenges their certainties. Let's pause for a moment. We've seen 6 signs: constant guilt, loss of self, emotional depletion, lack of reciprocity, constant judgment, and that instinct that screams, "Run away." Each of
उन
these
का नाम
signs isn't
आशिक
just
और
a
समंदर
passing
था।
symptom, but a
वो दोनों एक
manifestation
दूसरे
of
से
something
बहुत मोहब्बत
stirring in
करते
the
थे,
depths of our
लेकिन
being.
उनके दरमियान
They're the signals the soul sends when it feels suffocated. Don't ignore them. You may not experience them all at once, but if even just one resonates in your heart or stomach, that's enough to begin truly questioning yourself. Look within, without judgment, but with honesty. It's an act of courage, but also of love. I'm not telling you to end everything tomorrow. Relationships, even toxic ones, have deep roots made up of memories, affection, and sometimes even emotional dependence. But you deserve relationships that make you fly, that lift you up, that allow you to grow, not burdens that keep you down and prevent you from being the brightest version of yourself. Jung teaches us that life is a journey toward our most authentic self.
ये
But we
कहानी एक
can't
मखौफ
travel it if
मोहब्बत
we're
के जोड़े की
surrounded
है
by
जो
people who
शहर
break
के
our
बड़े
wings.
शहरों में रहता
Cutting
था।
off contact
उनका
isn't
नाम
a
आशिक
failure.
और समंदर
It's an
था।
act of self-love. It's saying, I'm worthy enough to protect myself. It may hurt at first, but then relief comes. And now I ask you, what version of yourself do you want to see in the mirror tomorrow? The one who had the courage to choose herself, or the one who let herself be dragged along? I know what I would choose, and I know that deep down, you know it too. Thanks for coming this far. If this video touched something in you, please leave a like. It's a small gesture that really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss future content. Here we talk about truths, the kind that sometimes hurts, but can also liberate. Tell me in the comments what signs you've recognized in your life. I always read your words. Until next time, and remember, you are worthy, and you deserve to shine.